Well, let's go on to our next topic because we went
Okay.
really long over there, and I think that's your topic.
Yeah. Hold on.
Silly phones.
Yeah, basically what I was doing is people are so wrapped up in their like cell phones and their electronic devices that they don't enjoy the moment, I've been to concerts and I've sat there and watched people for 2 hours go like this. It's like you're not even watching the actual concert. You're watching it through your phone on a I understand the phones and everything. They're getting better with their video recording and pictures and all this other stuff. But honestly, I've had people come up to me like, "Hey, I went to the concert. Oh, check out this video I had." And it's terrible. It sounds terrible. The whole time it's like they're on a roller coaster, and it's like I don't give two shits about this.
Yeah.
And so what you're just proving to me is that you sat there for like 20 minutes filming this, watching it through your phone. Why didn't you just have it in your pocket
Right.
and enjoy it? Like it's fun and be like, "Hey, this happened, and I had a great experience." So
And how often do you go back to look at that?
never.
Yeah.
Because I did that once. Honestly, it was
Yeah.
years and years ago.
Yeah.
I went to a Tom Petty concert, and I was sitting there like recording it, and I sent it to my brother. He's like, "What the hell is that?" He's like, "All I see is like a black space with a little light and just a bunch of noise."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I'm at the Tom Petty concert." He's like, "Yeah, that's terrible." And I never went back and looked at the video.
Yeah.
So, and I got mad at myself. I'm like, "That's a great song. That's the song I wanted to sit there and listen to."
Mm-hmm.
And I was so wrapped up in filming it that I didn't get to enjoy it.
Yeah. Just take
So-
pictures. Just maybe one or
Exactly.
two, and you're good.
Yeah, and so now what I do is like at a concert or like a big event, I don't even take out my phone. Actually, I put it on silent,
That's
and
good.
just have it in my pocket. And it's funny because if I'm out with like a buddy at a concert or something, my wife might be trying to call me, and she gets so furious at me, like, "Why didn't you like call me?" or da da. I'm like, "I'm at a fucking concert, it's loud. What do you want me to be screaming in the phone talking to
Yeah.
you?" Well, so I literally just wrap myself in the moment instead.
Yeah.
So, and do you think that do you come across that a lot with people?
Yeah, definitely. I think that people, it doesn't bother me, and I have an issue. I take an issue when people. So I disagree a little bit in the sense that like people are so wrapped up in their technology and their heads are in their face. And there's this amazing photo of people on the bus today, and it's down the aisle of a bus, and everybody's head is down and in looking at their phones.
Right.
Then there's a photo of like the 1940s of a bus, and every single person has their head
That's
down
awesome.
in newspaper. And I was like,
Yep.
look, nothing's changed. We as humans want to be wrapped up in something when we have downtime. That's just who we are. The difference is that this technology is new and we're seeing it for the first time, and so it feels like, oh man, look, do you notice that there's cell phones now? Yeah, and everybody's head is in. It's cool, great. What you have been desensitized to is the fact that everybody's head was down in a magazine or newspaper before it. The only difference is that the medium has changed, and that feels different and new and like scary because, oh, does that mean there's been a change? But there hasn't. It's been consistent. And so, I think a question is, do we as people tend to get wrapped up in things like that as opposed to be enjoying the present? And I think that is a valid argument because I would agree with that. I think as humans it's not the fact that it's cell phones or technology, it's the fact that we tend to do that. And whether it's a phone or something else, like it wasn't a phone before, it was like it was an actual video camera before, or a Kodiak camera before that, right? Like people were
Right.
wrapped up in just trying to document that. So like, yeah, I think we just as people tend to do that too often. I think you make really great points as to why you shouldn't, and you should just enjoy the present. I think more people really do need to worry about the present. I think that comes with practicing, meditation and mindfulness, and I think we're starting to see that come into schools today and be implemented in the workspace because it's not that it's fairly new, but it's fairly new as being adopted. And I think we're starting to see a lot of positive effects. And, it takes a while to get studies and collect data, but we are seeing things of that nature produce great positive results. So I think as more and more people in our culture becomes a little bit more mindful, I think people will really start to breathe and step back and be in the present a little bit more and enjoy those things.
Well, and I definitely agree with all of that. So my other end of the spectrum is that people will sit there and drive and be on their phone, texting, being on Facebook.
Yeah, I
Who
do
knows
it.
what they're doing?
Yeah.
And I was gonna say I'm guilty of it. I've texted while driving and stuff like that, and it's terrible. There's times where I'm like, oh shit. Like you get a close call and I'm like, I throw my phone in the seat. I'm like, I'm not looking at that ever again.
Yeah.
But of course, next time I'm driving,
Yeah.
da.
Yeah.
But and that's the other
Causes
end of
more
it. Is,
deaths than a lot of things.
yeah, and so you sit there and you think about it, but and a great point. I've seen that picture of everyone on the bus with their head in their phone and then the newspaper. But back then, you didn't see people driving a car with the newspaper up in front of them.
I don't know, man. Did you? How do you know? You weren't there.
True, true. I did watch one time. I sat there and watched a lady hold a book like
Yeah,
this
if
when
it's
she was
like-
driving.
that's my
It's
point.
like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's exactly my point. If it's not a phone, if it's not a cell phone, it's a book. If it's not a book, it's a magazine. If it's not a magazine, it's makeup. If it's not makeup, it's food. If it's not
yeah.
food, it's coffee. Like people, we have this need to just be immersed constantly or multitask, and that produces like terrible like problems and
Habits
so
and-
yeah, like. And maybe, arguably, phones make it even more accessible than something like food or a magazine or a book. So yeah, so absolutely there should be like some issue with that. But like, I think it's also an issue of just mindfulness and being in the present. And you know what? Self-driving cars are gonna fix all this. So
True.
it's not
Very true.
a big deal there.
Wait, Google's on its way for that, right? I think
Amazon,
Google is working-
Google, Tesla already has a self-driving car.
That's crazy. But then think about this: what you could do. That's diving into a bunch of other crazy stuff.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot that you can do
but
there.
but really, with being immersed in the world and everything. So and honestly, I get a lot of crap from a lot of my friends and everything. They're like, "Hey, you didn't answer your phone." Like, yeah, I don't have to answer it every time you call.
Yeah.
And people get mad at me about that. I'm like, not everyone didn't have cell phones back in the day. You answer the phone when you're able to.
Yeah.
If I'm in a conversation with someone or something like that, I'll just not even look at my phone and silence it. My wife all the time is like, I just tried calling you. Okay, well, hey, I'm doing this, so I can give you a call afterwards.
Yeah.
Granted, I still don't win that argument, but
yeah, for sure. I know exactly what you're talking about.
and because my thing is that I want to give that person or whatever I'm doing 100% of my attention. So I don't need to be wrapped up in it. And people, like I said, will sit there and go, oh, hey, you didn't answer your phone, or you didn't call me back, you didn't text me back. Yeah, because I'm doing other things. I'm busy. I'm not going to answer every call, every text message right away. And then there's a lot of people that are like me that I've talked to. They're like, oh, I do the same thing. Granted, yeah, I'll see a text message and not reply right away because I'm busy. So, and I made that a point when I started realizing, like I was at the concert and I'm sitting there filming. This was what? Had to be close to 10 years ago. So, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to live my life through my phone. I want to just live my life.
I think that's a really great realization that you have, and I think that the more things we can do to help people have that realization, because that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to take an individual's thought process to really get to that point. And I envy that you're able to have that, like, to get to that point and have that willpower and an understanding of what you want to do. And there's some people that just that's what they like. They don't like necessarily like walking down the street and talking to strangers. They want to listen to Pandora. They want to like go and listen to a book as they walk. Like it's also interesting to note that with the advances of technology and new lifestyles that are available to us, it will fill niches that we thought we didn't need, that people will be attracted to, and we are hard to accept it because it wasn't the status quo. But now that we can listen to podcasts when we walk, who's to say that that's not, who's to say that that's unacceptable?
Maybe you're listening to it now.
Maybe you're listening to a podcast right now in the Maelstrom Gamers, and you're like, I want to walk down and take a walk and listen to podcasts as opposed to listening to the birds chirp and the trees rustle. Like, this is just what I want to do right now, and that's what I find important. And who's to say that, that's wrong? So, yeah, there's definitely people who are like, blah, blah. Now, when it gets into other people, like, it's such a like tightrope walking gray area, thin red line that that I feel like we would take issue with and not take issue with something. So I gave an example of, this is someone doing them. It's fine when you are not affecting other people. or wanting to
Right.
affect other people. The second that it is a causation of affecting somebody else, that doesn't sound right. But like, for instance, when your friends are like, dude, you need to get back to me, it's like, okay, that is a perfect example of how technology has been a negative impact on our society, because it is enabling people to put pressure on you and expectations on you, which is not right. That's wrong, and that is definitely a problem. But you know, on the flip side, yeah, if you just want to take a walk, and someone's like, you shouldn't do that because that's wrong, fuck you. I'm not harming anybody or implementing having implications to anybody else's lifestyle. I'm walking, I'm listening, I'm not talking. That's what I want to do, right? I'm not being rude to anybody. I'm alone on this one.
I'm just doing my thing.
Exactly, just doing your thing. Like, I think that's fine. So yeah, there's two different sides of the coin, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, of course, and it's crazy that I just feel that we get so wrapped up into it these days. What's the saying? My online life is so much cooler than my actual life.
But that's my point, is that I think as technology is advancing and we have different lifestyles emerge, your real life and your online life are more the same thing than they ever were and have been before.
Previously, yeah.
So your life is now part of online, and so like as you choose to be. So like I don't know, that's just something we need to deal with, and we as a culture need to like there's definitely boundaries as there is with real life stuff, you know what I mean? Like your friend just doesn't come over, you know what I mean? And just like knock on your door and be like, dude, I came over, where were you? And you're like, I was on vacation. You should have checked with me first, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So someone to text you and just expect you to drop everything is something that we need to get used to and like set boundaries for as a culture, but that just takes time.
Right. And I think time will definitely weed out a lot of those issues that we have. And like I said, you know, I try to be, I guess, thoughtful on all of that and make sure that I don't let that incorporate my life.
It's really cool, and it's tough too, because I don't know how. It's hard. You have to set those boundaries. So like when we're all like, "Hey, Ian, where the hell are you? We're playing." Like, you're doing something, and so like, it's important to know. Be like, and it's hard too to like set that boundary. It's like you have to be like, "Look, guys, I'm doing something. So if I don't answer, don't bug me, or don't get mad at me. Like, I'm off doing something. So just know if I don't respond, I'm clearly doing something else. I'm not ignoring you, right? And that's important to know. And it sucks that you have to do it, but hopefully over time, like you said, that will just be the norm.
And when you think that my wife would know that too, after so many years, I'm kidding.
Hey, great.
Okay,
I thought we were gonna end there.
And that's it. Pocket. And it's funny because if I'm out with like a buddy at a concert or something, my wife might be trying to call me and she gets so furious at me, like, why didn't you like call me, or da-da-da. I'm like, I'm at a fucking concert, you know, it's loud. What do you want me to be screaming in the phone talking to you? Well, so I literally just wrap myself in the moment instead.
Yeah.
So, and do you think that do you come across that a lot with people?
Yeah, definitely. I think that people, it doesn't.
It's with a little light and just a bunch of noise. And I'm like, oh, I'm at the Tom Petty concert. He's like, yeah, that's terrible. And I never went back and looked at the video.
Yeah.
So, and I got mad at myself. I'm like, that's a great song. That's the song I wanted to sit there and listen to. And I was so wrapped up in filming it that I didn't get to enjoy it.
Yeah. Just take pictures. Just maybe one or two, and you're good.
Yeah. And, you know, and so now what I do is like at a concert or like a big event, I don't even take out my phone. Actually, I put it on silent. You know, and just have it in my concerts. And I've sat there and watched people for 2 hours go like this. It's like, you're not even watching the actual concert. You're watching it through your phone. I understand the phones and everything. They're getting better with their video recording and pictures and all this other stuff. But honestly, I've had people come up to me like, hey, I went to the concert. Oh, check out this video I had. And it's terrible. It sounds terrible. The whole time it's like they're on a roller coaster. And it's like, I don't give two shits about this, you know?
Yeah.
And so...
Well, let's go on to our next topic, because we went really long over there. And I think that's your topic.
Yeah. Hold on.
Silly phones.
Yeah, basically what I was doing is people are so wrapped up in their like cell phones and their electronic devices that they don't enjoy the moment, you know. I've been to what you're just proving to me is that you sat there for like 20 minutes filming this, watching it through your phone. Why didn't you just have it in your pocket
Right.
and enjoy it? Like it's fun and be like, hey, you know, this happened and I had a great experience. So
And how often do you go back to look at that?
never.
Yeah.
Because I did that once. Honestly, it was
Yeah.
years and years ago.
Yeah.
I went to a Tom Petty concert and I was sitting there like recording it, and I sent it to my brother. He's like, "What the hell is that?" He's like, "All I see is like a black space."